This is the Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. Episode 62, recorded June 23rd, 2016. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. I am your host and editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast. My name is Tyson Gifford, and joining me today, as always, is our keeper of comics here at TV Enthusiast, Will Rowray.
Hello.
Okay, so today we are going to be talking about Dark Matter, which is coming back on July 1st on SyFy. I got a chance to see the first two episodes, and I got to participate in a conference call with some of the actors. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about Wrecked. This is TBS's, Lost parody, pretty much. And then we're going to talk about Peaky Blinders, which is our regular discussion. I might as well just call this a show club at this point, right? Because we're literally going through it one episode at a time.
This is the Peaky Blinders show club until we run out of episodes of Peaky Blinders, so yeah.
Basically, it's been the Peaky Blinders show club, like in everything but name.
Yeah, in everything but name.
Might as well just call it the Peaky Blinders show club right now, so. Sure,
it's kind of cool because we haven't done anything like this really since Twin Peaks. So yeah. I think that's actually pretty cool. And also I'm like really enjoying Peaky Blinders, so yeah.
So we're going to retroactively call this our show club discussion of Peaky Blinders. And we're going to be talking about the first episode of season 2 of Peaky Blinders. But
yeah, Which funny enough, like, I was looking, like, did these episodes, like, have titles? Because I think I just noticed, like, on Netflix, you know, like, it says episode 1 and title of the episode is episode 1.
Yeah.
So, like, okay.
I don't think they have titles for the episodes. I was looking for that, but I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, if you check on the Wikipedia, the Peaky Blinders Wikia, there's no episode titles. It's just episode, it'll just say like either episode 7, because it's the 7th episode of the whole series, or it'll say like season 2, episode 1, you know?
Yeah, that's what it says on Netflix. Season 2, episode 1, episode 1. And it's an episode 2, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of a lazy title. And I'm like, oh, wait.
I think this is just kind of the case with a lot of the British shows in particular.
Right.
I think kind of like naming episodes is more of a American TV show kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Like they would do it more on something like Black Mirror, where it's an anthology, so each episode is kind of like a mini movie.
Yeah, but they do it with like Doctor Who and stuff like that, though.
That's true. So I don't know. Maybe the creator of the show just hates episode titles.
Maybe he's like, I don't want to name this thing.
Maybe they're like hyper, like spoiler phobic, and they're like, the episode title gives away everything.
Gives away everything. Oh, and just as an aside, but I found out why Ghost wasn't in like the last episode of Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah, that was an IGN article. I didn't get the chance to read it yet.
Oh yeah, he said apparently the director of the episode basically it said it would have been tough. It would have been a tough thing to film to like have Ghost in like all those scenes and stuff in the battle, you know, and also they had like the giant 1-1, and they basically said, you know, like it ended up basically where they would have to choose. They had to choose between Ghost or 1-1, and they decided to just do the battle with 1-1.
I think they could have done something at the very end, like when Ramsay was being eaten or something. You know, they could have shown like Ghost in the shadows, like barking or something. I don't know. They could have done something. It just felt kind of weird. Like absent. They never even mentioned its existence.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was pretty weird. Yeah, it's just like that's the director's official explanation. He's like, oh well, we couldn't do both because budget and you know like the technical, you know, and how technical like both of those were. Like they described like getting 1-1 into the battle. They described, you know, like he doesn't exist, you know, like so they had to like get all these extras and stuff to react to something that wasn't there. Yeah,
I can imagine it's a tough feat.
Yeah.
But yeah, We'll talk about Game of Thrones more on Monday when we're going to be recording our Game of Thrones discussion of the season finale. But let's get on with the actual show now.
Okay.
And as we said, we're going to start off here with Dark Matter. So for those of you who do not know, Dark Matter is a series that runs on SyFy. It's had one season so far. The second season premieres on July 1st. And it's basically, how can I put this best? It's a cast of lovable rogues. So if you like that archetype of the lovable rogue, that's like the whole cast of Dark Matter, basically.
Oh, okay.
they're like a space crew that they wake up, they all have amnesia, and they start to find out that they're really bad people. They start to figure that out by just kind of things going on. They find out they're these bad people, and they have to kind of deal with it. They don't know why they have amnesia. Somebody did something, and it caused them to get amnesia. They don't really understand it fully. And so it's kind of, that's where the series kind of kicks off on, is just them all waking up and they don't know who they are. And yeah, so they're all kind of lovable rogues because they're bad guys, but you're rooting for them, you know?
Okay, so basically, so basically it's a series about like basically bad people.
Yeah, kind of, except it's like they're definitely bad people in their past.
Okay.
And you don't quite understand what they are in their present because they all have amnesia. So they don't know they're
bad people. They don't know who they are.
Yeah.
So like kind of like it's sort of like a clean slate. Like they get to like reinvent themselves or redefine who they are.
In a way, but their past is coming back to haunt them.
Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting premise, actually.
It is. It's a good show. It's from some of the creators of the Stargate TV series. If you've seen like SG-1 or Atlantis, so it's some of the people involved in that handle this series. I think it originally either ran as, I think it was a comic book or a book. But it was that comic book or book was written by the same people that are running the show. Basically, they had wanted to do a show. They weren't able to get like the budget and everything cleared for it. So they did like a comic book or a book or whatever instead. And then you jump a few years ahead to nowadays when pretty much anything is workable on, as a TV show. Budgets aren't so much of an issue in that way anymore. And now they can do it. So they're doing it at SyFy. Like I said, second season's going to start on July 1st. I got a chance to talk to, three of the actors involved in it today, and I'm going to talk to three more tomorrow. Or when you're airing it, I will have already talked to them when you're listening to this podcast, probably. But, I got a chance to listen to, or talk to, all the crew members. They take the name based on the number in which they were found. Like the first one to wake up is 1, and the second one was 2. So I got a chance to talk to 3 and 4. So 3 is kind of like, he's more like the traditional lovable rogue. Like if you've seen like Firefly, he's like the Jane,
Oh, okay. I see.
Then I got to talk to number 4. He's kind of like the badass, like samurai guy. So he's like this samurai type, space samurai, basically.
Yeah.
So I got to talk to the 2 of them, as well as a new character on the show who doesn't have a number because he's in for the new season. His character's name is Devin, and he's a doctor who's a fugitive in this jail system in which they're at. And from like the first episodes I saw, I got like a serious like Guardians of the Galaxy vibe, like when they're in that like prison.
Sure.
It's not quite as like funny as that. Like that's not the real tone of the series, but you could totally get that vibe. Just crew of lovable rogues locked in prison, making with quotation marks friends.
Yeah.
In prison. It's kind of like that kind of vibe to it. So yeah, it definitely has that. If you like that, you're probably gonna like go like, oh yeah, I see some familiar beats here. But yeah, so I got to talk to them, and it was pretty cool. They were just talking about kind of what they're looking forward to in season 2, and a lot of talk about the series having a lot of big what the fuck moments kind of coming up in this season, more so than in the last season. This last season had at least a few I can think of that were pretty big what the fuck moments. They seem very excited about it. From the first 2 episodes I saw, it was good stuff, so I'm looking forward to more. And I won't talk about too much more than that for now. I'll be writing up an article after I do the second conference call. So look forward to that. But until then, I'm going to kind of move on, and we're going to talk about Wrecked. Wrecked is a new TBS series. It's a Lost parody, basically. I mean, you want to kind of say like, oh, it's a parody of shows like Lost, but it's really a Lost parody. There's not like any,
yeah, it's Lost. I mean, the first episode has a guy who's basically Jack.
The ridiculously handsome guy?
Yeah, the ridiculously handsome guy, yeah. Like he's basically Jack. Like, the actor looks like the actor who played Jack, whose name, like, escapes me for some reason now.
Matthew Fox.
Matthew Fox, yeah. Well, when was the last time that guy was relevant?
Lost.
Yeah, Lost. but man, like, so, this is very clearly, I can't even think of anything else it's parodying. If it's parodying other things, I don't get the references.
I think it's just a Lost parody, but then it has kind of its own comedic elements in there as well that aren't parody. So it's kind of like a sitcom, like it's not a full parody. It's like half Lost parody and half sitcom about people on an island.
Yeah, I think that's correct. It's like half sitcom and it's terribly unfunny. It is dull as crap. I watched 2 episodes of this, and my reaction was, I need to watch something funny. So I went and I watched Kimmy Schmidt, and I busted a gut.
I see. I actually found a few parts funny. I think there have been 4 episodes so far.
I only watched 2. As far as I can tell, there were only the first 2 episodes available on iTunes. Like, the first one was free, and then I had to actually, like, buy the second one, which is like, oh, okay. And it's like...
and now you have it forever.
Now I have it forever.
Haunting you.
Yeah, haunting you. And I think that was enough to, like, make me decide, okay, this... Like, it had, like, some funny parts, I won't lie, but everything else was, like, just lame jokes or, stuff that just did not work at all. I think the show's the main problem is the characters. None of the characters are A, funny, B, charismatic. This is the core to the issue. This is kind of like also actually like it parallels Lost in a way, because like Lost was so strong on the basis of the fact that it had strong characters. You really got to know the characters and got to like care about the people on Lost, as to like where this, like, they're just so boring, and like their main character trait is, I'm an idiot. It's like, yeah,
pretty much.
And it's like, the idiot trope is like, it's funny, but not like when you make like everybody like an idiot. Like, if you go watch something like watch The Office and watch those characters and like try to make like,
yeah, you need your Jim to balance out your Dwights.
Yeah, you need your Jim to balance out your Dwights. Exactly. It's like, watch The Office and ask yourself, why are these characters so memorable? Why do I love Dwight? Why does why is Jim Halpert, like such a good character? And it's like, it's because these characters, aside, they have fun, they have funny quirks because it's a comedy and, you need to laugh at them, but they also, they have qualities that are endearing as like actual characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you need to anchor your comedy in that. Otherwise, you're not you're not really going to get a reaction. And I don't think this show so far has successfully been able to do that. They had 2 episodes to establish why we should care about these people, and so far their only quirk is, well, we're all dumb. And it's like, but that's not funny by itself.
I get where you're coming from. I didn't have as much issue with it. I agree that the characters are pretty one-dimensional at best. But I enjoyed some parts. Like you said, there are some parts jokes that are funny. When we were talking before the podcast, I summed it up in the way I think is easiest for me to describe this series to, if I'm going to describe it to somebody else, which is, it really does feel like this is like a college humor sketch that's been stretched out to like half-hour installments.
Yes.
And, cause like, if you watch a college humor sketch, it's going to be, about 10 minutes? So you don't care about, like, getting to know the characters. They're really generic, whatever. You just don't give a shit.
Well, no,
in 10 minutes, it's over.
Yeah, it's over in 10 minutes. A college humor sketch usually focuses on parodying, like, pop culture, coming up with, like, some absurd situation. Like, it's like, it's a short video, so it works, and you don't really care too much. You're just like, that was pretty funny. It's like, they made a video, like, making fun of a Nickelback song, and it was funny, and it's like, you watch that and you're like, huh, and then you move on with your life.
But you might not want to watch a half-hour version of that.
No, exactly, I would not, because I'd be like, this is way too long of this.
So, I will say one thing to the show's credit, because I have watched more of it, is that as it goes on, it sheds more and more of the kind of like Lost parody side and becomes just a sitcom that's in basically the same environment as Lost. So it becomes less like a parody of Lost and more just like, what if like Lost was a comedy and this is like a sitcom, and you kind of have those sitcom type beats to it start to come into play. In the most recent episode, I'll spoil it here since you're never going to watch this again, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there's a pretty funny beat where they're desperately looking for any kind of electronic device just to like take their minds off, the boredom of being on an island,
Right.
And they end up finding a portable DVD player that still has some power, still has like about 2 hours of power left. So they're like, oh, perfect, we can watch one movie. And they're like, what movie's in it? And there's no disc in it. So they're like, oh God, Then they finally find the disc holder, and they find Dumb and Dumber 2, and they're like so excited because they're like, this is perfect. It's stupid. You can just laugh and enjoy it, completely take our minds off our horrible situation on the island, everything like that. And then like, as they're like so excited about that, they notice that there's a second DVD as well. That second DVD is Selma, the civil rights show, the civil rights movie. Yeah. And so then the joke, their ongoing joke through the episode is like the guilt of like going like, oh, I always meant to watch that, and then like feeling like this social pressure, like you don't want to be thought of as racist, and why would you pick Dumb and Dumber over like an Academy Award, nominated like classic movie that you haven't seen that's about, racism, and so it's kind of like that standard of that's what the humor is derived from, is like every time they introduce it to a new person, they're like, oh, what movies did you find? And like, well, we found 2. We found Dumb and Dumber 2, and they start going like, oh yes, that's perfect, everything, and we also found Selma, and you just kind of see like, it's like a dramatic beat, like their face just changes to like, because they immediately know the situation they're in.
Yeah.
They immediately know that they're going to have to watch Selma even though they don't want to. And they have to be happy about it even though they're not, Right. That's like the joke that's running through that episode. And I thought that, that was really funny, and it's a kind of a true thing. And if the series is more like that as it continues on, then I could see more reason to watching it. But even still, that Selma DVD joke, that could have been a sketch on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sounds like a college humor sketch. Like a group of people on the island. That's a college humor sketch, and it's like, oh, I get the joke, and then you're like, I don't know. It's just not.
Well, there's more stuff going on as well when they're going through that whole process. So that's not, there's, as typical with any show, there'll be like multiple storylines going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can fully understand somebody not wanting to watch any more of it. And it is kind of a big ask, considering the amount of quality TV that's out there right now.
Also,
for me, on the other hand, though, I watch so much TV that it's just like, oh, it's just another one. And I'm always happy to have a comedy in my back pocket, just because most of what I watch tends to be on the drama side, and sometimes you just want levity.
Also, 2 episodes and no flashbacks or references to flashbacks or jokes about flashbacks. This isn't a parody of Lost. Get the fuck out.
Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, it's really moved past that now, and it's more of like a workplace comedy, except instead of workplace,
Oh, well, see, that makes me even lose more interest because I was like I was fascinated at this as being like kind of a parody of Lost. So I was like hoping it would like stick with like the plot line from Lost. Like we get Smoke Monster, we get the others come in, all that.
Some bits like that. Like there's a scene also in the most recent episode that I mentioned, the same one that has the Selma thing, where they find this briefcase or whatever with like a lock, and they find it in the forest, and they're desperately trying to find a way to open it, and they finally figure out how to open it, and it's filled with like dildos.
Oh God.
And they're trying to figure out like who had these dildos, and they're like desperate to figure it out, and like condemn that person as like as like a total pervert.
Yeah.
And like shun them. That's like their kind of like their goal on trying to do it. But it's like, so they have that kind of like, you could see that's similar to like when they find the guns in the case in Lost in the first season,
Right.
So there are those like beats that come into it. I think you probably saw the episode where they did the bit that was similar to like Jack hallucinating his father.
Yeah, they saw the Jack hallucinating his father because like the main character there like hallucinates his dad on like the plane, but then like they but then they just use that to like explain the trope. And I don't know if that was like actually funny, or I'm like, yeah, I mean, I get, it's like they sit there like, this is the storytelling trope they used on Lost. And I'm like, yep.
Again, very like college humor sketch.
Yeah, exactly. Very college humor sketch. Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. So if, for Wrecked, looks like, Will's taking a hard pass on the show. I'm going to keep watching it. As I said, I like having a comedy in my back pocket.
I have a comedy in my back pocket. It's called Kimmy Schmidt, and it is amazing.
I already finished it, so.
Yeah, I still have it. I'm going through it slowly. I'm savoring it, as Netflix likes to call it, because Netflix did this thing where apparently, like, if you race through a show, you're devouring it, and if you're watching it slowly, you're savoring it. When really, who the hell knows what people are actually doing? That's what Netflix just decided, based on their metrics, like apparently nobody hates anything. They're just savoring it.
So when you stop watching Wrecked, it's because you're savoring.
Exactly. According to Netflix's metrics, yes.
Alright, so let's move on to our featured topic then, which is Peaky Blinders. Today we're going to be talking about episode 1 of season 2, titled Episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah.
So if you open up the notes, Will, I added like 3 more names to the list here of characters in our show notes, because I finally added Esme Shelby, who's John's wife, the Lee gypsy that he married. I added Irene O'Donnell, who is an IRA woman that shows up in this episode, and I added Darby Sabini, who's kind of like the new, like, eventual, like, obstacle that Thomas has to overcome.
Right.
So let's talk about this. So first off, let's just address what happened at the end of the last season and how it affects this season, which is that at the end of last season, we saw a scene where Tommy was like writing a letter to Grace, basically saying that he wasn't sure if he was going to leave with her or not. And he was deciding with the flip of a coin. And that scene was intercut with Grace waiting at the train station, Inspector Campbell approaching her, pulling out a gun, and then it went dark and we heard a gunshot.
Yeah, like basically leaving it unknown as to what happened, like I guess we're spoiled because we're watching this on Netflix and we could go, oh, let's just watch the next episode. But like, if you were watching this when it aired, and given that this is a British show and who the hell knows how long, because British TV, they don't have like typical season schedules like we do. It's not like,
yeah, they don't even call them seasons. They call them series.
They call them series, yeah, because they're not on like the schedule like, oh well, this is reliably going to be back in the fall. It's like we, like we get upset. We have to wait the summer to see what's going to happen in the next season. We call them seasons because they come out every season like clockwork, but they call them series because it doesn't work like that. So like I didn't look this up. I didn't study it, but it could be like a year or more before this second series of Peaky Blinders came out. You know, like if you look at Sherlock,
Yeah,
you know,
that can be like 3-4 years between seasons.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years. So like this, you know, this could have been like a year or more. So you're sitting there like not knowing what the hell just happened for like, you know, over a year. That's got to be like, you know, that's got to take its toll. And so like I think you're relatively spoiled because I just clicked on the next episode. But yeah, if I had watched that live, that's quite cliffhanger. Not knowing what happened to Grace at the end of that season. So that's
it for our discussion of the episode.
Yeah, that's it.
No, this is where the first episode of series 2, I should say, picks up, is that we see exactly what happened on that platform, which Grace was not shot.
No.
The shot came from Grace, who had a gun in her bag, pulled up her bag with her gun in it, and was able to shoot Inspector Campbell before he shot her, injuring him, shooting him in the leg. At first, when I saw him get shot, I was like, oh shit, so he's dead. And then he, like, quickly showed up in the episode again. I'm like, yeah, I guess not.
I mean, he was too bad to kill off, apparently. You know?
So we should say that, this season takes place 2 years after the last season.
Yep. They, after Campbell gets shot and Grace leaves, we cut to 2 years later. It's important to note Campbell resurfaces in this episode, but we don't see Grace again. Yeah.
I'm sure we will at some point. We're if it's maybe in a flashback or maybe in some, you know, like we'll get some kind of reference or scene with Grace again.
Right.
I can't imagine she's just gone because they actually did film something with her for the first episode, you know, so.
Oh, really?
I can't imagine. Well, they filmed her shooting Campbell, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
So they had to have something filmed, which meant if they were going to do that, they would have given more if that was going to be it.
That seems like something they probably would have filmed when they were doing like the last episode, and just
you'd think that, but that tends not to be the case.
Yeah.
Usually, whenever you have like a cliffhanger scene like that, and they film again, they're literally resetting everything back up the next season to film it.
Oh, nice.
This happens quite frequently in TV, so they usually don't think ahead that far. A lot of times, it could be the case where the writers didn't even know what they were going to do.
No, that's true. Yeah,
they set up the cliffhanger, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't know what we're going to do." It's kind of like in Breaking Bad when they had like the gun in the car, you know?
Yeah.
In the last season, he opens the trunk and you see that big gun. They had no idea what they were going to do with that gun. They like said that in the interviews later that, you know, Vince Gilligan said, yeah, we had no idea what we were going to do with the gun. We just placed a gun in this trunk so we'd have this dramatic moment like, oh shit, what's that for? And then they wrote to that point, you know? That's kind of like the way TV works with that. So I'd be surprised if that was filmed last season.
I found like a good thing to do, you know, for writing creatively is to write yourself into a corner and then try to get yourself out of that without like any deus ex machina is happening.
Yeah, exactly. And that was a big point that they were bringing up with Breaking Bad when they were discussing that they frequently do that like when you see these really big crazy turns, you know, that's them writing themselves into a corner on purpose.
Right.
So I kind of imagine that that's the case of what's happening here, and I would be very surprised if they filmed that scene in advance of the season. And if they got her to film that scene, I'm sure they wouldn't just end it with no explanation of what happened to her, you know? Like they would have filmed at least something else, you know? Even if it's just another really short scene and it's like a flashback or something, you know? They're gonna have something else for her. And even if not, then, you know, they'll at least like probably mention her at some point. Cause they did mention her briefly, but it was from like Tommy's perspective, which seems to be that she just kind of disappeared that night.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what happened. 2 years later, the family business is going well. I believe it was John Shelby said something like they're making 150 pounds a day. For those who don't know exchange rates and time, because you also have to deal with inflation, typically it's about a pound is like $2 typically in exchange rate. That's kind of like ideal exchange rate. It'll fluctuate from there, but it's kind of like, if you're gonna say on most days how many yen is a dollar, and it's 100 yen to a dollar, and on most days it's it's $2 to a pound. So the pound is worth twice as much as the dollar.
I didn't even think of it that much. I just assumed that's probably a lot of money, and just rolled with it. Because I'm like, okay. It doesn't sound like a lot of money when he says it, but A, this is ancient times, and B, lol, UK money. So,
so you gotta go double right away. And then on top of that, I read something that said, adjusting for inflation, that's about 3,000 pounds. So double that, that's about $6,000 a day.
Nice.
So that doesn't sound huge, but remember, that's a day.
That's daily. So 6,000 daily, that's a lot more impressive than 150 daily. So yeah. That's a more impressive number.
It's a decent number. It's not staggering, but it's a very healthy number, and it makes sense for John to feel like that's a satisfying number.
I got to admit, when he came out and said 150 pounds, I was like, that's it? Like that, what?
That's like less than a public school teacher makes.
I know. It's like, holy.
And that's your entire family and your entire organization's income?
And then I thought it out logically. I'm like, well, this is the early 1900s, when, you could buy a car for a penny. So I reasoned it out. That this is probably a lot of money actually being talked about. So I'm just going to roll with it and try not to think about it too much, because this is a TV show for my entertainment. This isn't like an economics lesson.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I thought this was.
Darn.
Do you mean I don't get any credits for this?
No.
All right. So, Tommy's looking to kind of expand the business. John's like, why? We're making all of 150 pounds a day here. We're living like kings.
We're making 2 cents. He could have said that. He could have said, oh, we're making 2 cents a day. And I would have been like, wow, that was probably a fortune back then.
So, he's trying to do that. His wife is very against them trying to expand because she realizes this is going to lead to some dark times for them when they get into conflict with other groups. Of course, that's what we as the audience want, because that's the show. We don't want to just watch them having a successful gambling business with no drama.
Welcome to Thomas Shelby as a successful businessman with no problems whatsoever.
So we're not going to have that. So basically, what they allude to is that there are kind of two big issues going on. First off, right off the bat, they blow up the bar.
Yes.
Blows up the bar.
That is like the first thing that actually happens in this episode. Like the episode opens, after we get the resolution with what happened at the end of the last season, the first thing we see after the Grace scene is we see these two women dressed in black, walking side by side with black strollers, kind of in a suspiciously uniform fashion. It's like people, especially I don't know, I don't know much about early 1900s British society. I am not a sociological historian here, but I would think that two women with strollers walking that uniform next to each other
into a bar would have been slightly
suspicious. At least raised a couple eyebrows. That's an unusual sight.
Well, and you have to understand also that this is during the time of the Troubles in Ireland, between Ireland and England, with the IRA and bombings that were going on. It's kind of like the equivalent of a similar scene happening in Israel today.
Right.
So, similar situation. Like, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict of today is similar to, like, the Irish-English conflict, of then. So, yeah, it is kind of a suspicious scene. They blow up the bar. Immediately, most of the Shelbys seem to think this has to do with their business.
Yeah.
Thomas knows right away that it's not. That this is something else.
It's the IRA. Like,
he goes and he visits the IRA, has a sit down with them, is very unhappy. It's like, you wanted to get my attention. You have it. Now, what do you want? And they're like, screw you, we're the IRA. We like to be cryptic.
Yeah, I know, yeah, we like to be cryptic. And, like, they basically, like, told, like, Thomas, like, they own him or something.
They said that he was chosen.
Yeah, they said
he's the chosen one.
And so basically they got him doing something for them.
He doesn't even know what it is. He's just like,
he doesn't even know what it is.
Let's do something. I don't know what.
Yeah, I don't know what.
He's even asking me, he's like, and what is it that you chose me for?
Yeah. And they're like, nope, not going to tell you.
And they're like, shut your gypsy mouth and wait until you're called on. So he's kind of put into his place there, having to deal with that. In the meantime, he's dealing with a complete separate business, which is, trying to look into expanding the family business over the top of his family's objections. In order to do this, we learn that the situation with the other racetrack owners, particularly in London, where you have this kind of conflict between the Sabini gang and what is referred to as the Jews.
So eloquently referred to. Yeah, it's so basically Thomas wants to like expand his business operations into London. And basically his big plan is, he's going to side with the Jews against Sabini and basically use the Jews to gain a foothold into London for the Peaky Blinders. To that end, they go to London, they go to some sort of club.
It's one of Sabini's clubs.
It's one of Sabini's clubs. Yeah, they basically like wreck shit, make their presence known, make their intentions known.
It's kind of funny because they go in there peaceful,
yeah,
but fully with the intent of causing shit.
Yeah, fully with the intent.
They're being very peaceful and cordial, but they know that their mere presence there is going to cause shit.
Yeah, they know that.
And they're just waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, they're waiting for it to happen. That's why, Thomas tells his older brother, he's taking like some medicine Thomas tells him to throw it away because he needs him to be sharp and fast for what they're going to do. Which means, they're going to go into that club and shit is going to go down. So it's not like it takes him by surprise when, the shit hits the fan. He's not surprised. Like, he went in there expecting it, even though, like, ultimately, like, he didn't start it.
Mm-hmm. And this whole thing, everything he did, wasn't even an attack on the Sabinis at all. That's not even what it was. It was just to get the attention of the Jews and to basically say, hey, we're open to working with you.
Yeah, say, hey,
we're kind of like an open letter.
Yeah. But, Sabini doesn't take it very well, so he gets like a little bit upset and he has a talk with Thomas about his grievances.
Very friendly conversation.
Yeah, very friendly conversation. No, like, it's a pretty brutal scene. Actually, what happens is, they gang up on Thomas. They beat him to within an inch of his life. They also, like, go after his sister, and there's the implication that very unpleasant things happened to her, off screen.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing is shown, but it's definitely verbalized. Very unpleasant things. So they go after Thomas. They nearly kill him, but Thomas' life is saved at the last minute by the appearance of Chief Inspector Campbell, who actually appeared earlier this episode. It was revealed that he had not died from Grace's bullet, but he was wounded to the point where now he's limping and he has a cane.
So he saves Tommy and he's like, Tommy, my boy, are you okay?
Yeah. No.
Tommy's like, Chester, where were you?
Where were you this whole time? No, doesn't play out like that.
So Inspector Campbell ends up saving Tom. We had learned earlier on that he has some kind of plan and he's using Thomas Shelby to enact that plan with the intent of when the plan is completed, he'll immediately have him hung.
He'll immediately have him hung.
So it's less that he feels that Tommy's the right choice for this plan, and more that it just gives him an excuse to hang him.
There's a scene he's talking to his superior.
Winston Churchill, yeah.
Is it? This is a completely different actor. He looks completely different.
Well, there are two scenes. There was one where he was talking to somebody else, and there was one later where Winston Churchill was drawing a woman nude.
That did not look like Winston Churchill from the first season at all. Literally, and he never referred to him as Winston Churchill, so I'm not convinced.
I thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'll have to look that up after.
Completely different, yeah.
But anyways, he's basically conveys that, he wants to use Thomas and then kill him. And the way he phrases it as, in my experience in working with Thomas or talking to him, he's very capable for this mission, but I don't trust him, so we'll have to hang him. Yeah. He knows the audience, so this is basically, I'm going to use him for this mission because it gives me an excuse to hang him.
Yeah, pretty much. He just wants Thomas dead. He wants to be the one to do it, and he basically
he's
says,
like, and then Grace will love me.
Yeah, and then Grace will love me and not try to shoot me. No, it's like there's a scene where like he basically says like, this man has been headed for a noose since the day he was born.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay. He's still pathetic. He's still completely pathetic.
He's still got a hard on for killing Thomas, yeah.
Yep. Some things will never change.
I really liked the scenes with Chester Campbell, though, especially because of the way they use sound.
Oh, yeah. And also, like, Sam Neill, is just a terrific actor. Like, he really brings that character to life. It's crazy.
I just love the sound of that cane, though. It sounded so heavy.
Yeah.
You just hear it before you'd see him. You'd hear this, like, ting, ting, when you'd be, like, walking, and it really kind of gave this, like feeling of weight to his presence, that I thought was really good. I definitely like that. I think that's pretty much it. Was there anything else going on this episode?
Not that I can think of. There was their aunt there.
Yes, that's Darwin. That was the other storyline. I thought there was something I might have been missing, but yeah, so, she goes and visits like a psychic, and, basically we see her, she's mentioning this weird feeling she had about, her daughter, and like a dream she'd had about her daughter that the state had kind of taken away from her.
Yeah.
When she was young. And we'd heard briefly about this last season, just kind of in passing. We'd heard this reference to, but in this episode, she kind of talks about how she had this vision of this woman about the same age as her daughter would be, saying that she was dead or something. And she kind of panicked, and she went to a psychic and, had to end up revealing who she was. And you could see everyone kind of like, ooh, when she says her maiden name is Shelby.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so they go through this whole thing. We see her later on outside, like sobbing horribly.
Yeah, because she was basically told, what she guessed is like, she came in there and she said, well, I think my daughter's dead. I can't prove it. Can you tell me? And I'm guessing they told her, yep, your daughter's dead. That'll be 50 pounds. Basically the one Shelby brother, his gypsy wife.
Esme is the wife, yeah.
Yeah, she basically tells her, that was bullshit, right? That was all bullshit. And, this only enrages her further, to a point where she's holding a knife to her throat and saying, if you say anything about this to anybody, I will fucking cut you, bitch. Yeah.
And Esme's like, I wouldn't say anything, and it's not because of the knife. It's because of my honor.
It's my honor.
Yeah.
That was the extent of that, plot line, I guess.
So this is kind of like this gypsy kind of storyline that we had elements of it last season, just with the Lee family in general, and the ties that the Shelbys have to these kind of gypsy families. So I think this is just kind of like, we need some aspect of that in every season.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the story. It's part of who the characters are. So it needs to be there. And this seems to be what it is this time. Is it's going to be Holly dealing with this side, whereas last season it was like having it hitched with Thomas's plans to get a casino license. So, or not casino license, but a betting license or whatever.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty much it then. That's
everything.
Blinders season 2, episode 1. So, still liking it. First episode of the new season.
Oh yeah. Still as good as ever. This is great.
I was really happy, like I had mentioned the sound design and stuff, because this is like every so often, like in the last season, some of the episodes were better than others as far as like visuals went, you know, sometimes it'd just be stunning and sometimes it was just like the visuals just weren't really important to what was going on. I really like what they're doing with sound design now. So it's like, oh, this is another level of just really cool, cinematic technique, you know, that's just not visual this time.
Right.
But yeah, I like it still. I really like it. I'm looking forward to watching more. I'm really looking forward to the eventual appearance of Tom Hardy, who's supposed to show up in season 2.
Yep, definitely.
So yeah, that's going to be cool. Then we can have conversations like, "Why, hello there, Thomas Shelby. I'll destroy the Peaky Blinders. Then you have my permission to die."
Yeah, then you have my permission to die.
So yeah, that's exciting. So if you want to watch Peaky Blinders along with us, we're watching 1 episode a week. We are 7 episodes in. Next week we will be talking about season 2, episode 2, the 8th episode of the series proper. So there's not a lot there, so you can binge watch and catch up with us if you want to talk with us about it. Check any of our comments. You can leave a comment on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on whatever, and we'll get it. We'll get your message and we'll read it on the air and talk about your questions or comments as you watch along with us. So check that out if you're interested. You can contact us at the Weekly Set at TVEnthusiast.com and check out our website at TVEnthusiast.com. Yeah, so thank you everybody for listening. Bye.
Bye.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset at TVEnthusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast and the Weekly Set podcast for more coverage